I hope I.
She's a wrinkled balloon with a teaching certificate. And like she is so hideous, so ugly. Alright, today we're reacting to another Alex Bale theory. This time, reacting to his most popular theory, which is SpongeBob conspiracy number 3, the Mrs. Puff theory. So, yeah, I've been watching SpongeBob since a child. Like that's my childhood. Since I was little, my mom used to put that on the screen, and my eyes would be just glued to that. Like I love SpongeBob, like my favorite show of all time. And yeah, so if this theory just like is like insane, like his theories are always insane. Like he goes into detail. Like I thought his theories were just gonna be like every theory in general, but I thought they were gonna be like, oh, it feels super true, but then it's just like not like it makes sense, but it's not true. But it makes sense, but nah. His theories are like something that you would actually just wanna 100% believe in and not feel like it's true. But hopefully it's nothing crazy in this and it doesn't ruin my childhood. So let's get it. Mrs. Puff.
This is not Mrs. Puff. You may think she's just SpongeBob's boating teacher, but you'd be very, very wrong. For years, she's been running from her dark and mysterious past, but it's finally caught up to her. And behind it all is a mastermind who's been secretly controlling her life and psychologically torturing her. If you guys thought my last two theories were mind-blowing, get ready for my biggest conspiracy yet. This is the Mrs. Puff theory. I gotta start off by saying, wow, the reaction to my last two SpongeBob theories has been insane.
How does she know? How does she know?
Squilliam, you lying, deceiving, who is that handsome young devil?
I'm glad you guys are enjoying my ridiculously deep dives into this show. I mean, I have to watch so much SpongeBob and read so much of the Wikipedia to put these theories together, but it's worth it because the writers actually take the time to set these things up.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, a lot of people have been asking, Alex, how do you come up with these crazy conspiracy theories? Well, I always start these theories by looking for the moment.
Bro, this episode like was really good. Like I when I was little, I was never easily scared like that, so this didn't scare me, but almost everybody said that when they watched this as a child, it was like creepy, scary. But this episode was pretty good.
In the show that seem to be implying more than they're letting on. Like I've said before, SpongeBob is a weird show with lots of abstract humor, but I can usually understand the intent the writers had behind a weird joke. But then there's stuff like this. I hope I.
Bro, Mrs. Puff is just a weird boating instructor. Like, bro, you gave this man a driving license. He got a boat, and like now you're just taking it away from him because you know what you did right there. You know what you did right there, bro. No, she's a wrinkled balloon with a teaching certificate and a permanent look of regret. Look at her face, man. Like, bro, she's regretting everything.
Still remember how to do
For
this.
teaching him, trying to teach him.
Yeah. And it's so confusing and weird that it feels like the writers are trying to imply something beyond just weirdness for the sake of comedy. And nowhere in the show is there more of these moments than with Mrs. Puff. And once I started looking into it, it led me down the deepest rabbit hole I've ever seen from this show. So, let's begin. Uh-oh. Looks like I'm getting hacked by a hacker. I knew this would happen if I got too close to the truth. Well, it's a good thing this video is sponsored by NordVPN. If you're watching this video...
Okay, sponsor. Okay, Mrs. Puff's Dark Path.
Mrs. Puff is a boating school teacher in Bikini Bottom. She's passed all of her students except for one, SpongeBob.
Bro, I know SpongeBob is, like, doesn't have a brain, he's slow, but if you're like a boating expert, bro, you could just teach anyone, bro. Even if they're slow, don't have a brain. Come on, Mrs. Puff, you suck. Do better.
SquarePants. He's taken her driver's test hundreds of times and he always ends up failing it and causing destruction and chaos that usually ends up with Mrs. Puff going to jail, despite it not really being her fault. We also know
at this point, her natural habitat is a prison jumpsuit. It matches the tired bags under her eyes better than any dress though.
That she was once married, but her husband was killed by fishermen.
Bro, look
That's
at
my
her,
driving
man.
teacher, Mrs. Puff.
Mrs. Puff? Oh, she's married.
Oh no, Mr. Krabs, she's single.
Then what happened to Mr. Puff?
She doesn't like to talk about it.
Throughout the show, there are moments like this that seem to be hinting at her having a dark, mysterious past. And in Season 2, Episode 10, No Free Rides, we get the biggest clue about who Mrs. Puff really is. After SpongeBob fails the driving test yet again, Mrs. Puff has just...
Bro, it's crazy how she is so hideous, so ugly. Look at her, man. And Mr. Krabs had a crush on her, liked her. Like, bro, what is wrong with Mr. Krabs? Like, he just doesn't know what, bro, he just had no good choice in woman. The only good choice he has is money.
Had it with him and ends up just giving up and giving him his license even though he never really passed. She quickly realizes that this is a horrible idea and he'll probably end up destroying the entire town.
So much destruction. This reporter asks, why? Local consensus places the blame on this negligent, selfish driving instructor who...
Remember this clip,
Wow.
because it's going to be very important later on.
All right.
And then she says this insanely revealing line.
What have I done? Everyone will know that I let him slide through school. I'll have to move to a new city, start a new boating school with a new...
Wait. I do remember, like, I don't know which YouTuber just, like, made, like, SpongeBob secrets or different types of secrets. I don't know what I was watching, but I do remember this episode, remember everything, like, I remember she changed her whole identity. She moved. She had like she has a criminal like history or something behind.
name. No, not again.
No, not again. Come on, it's like they're just begging someone to make a theory about this. So we now know Mrs. Puff was originally from a different town, she used to own a different boating school, and Mrs. Puff isn't even her real name. There's something in her past that she ran away from. Now, there's been some debate over whether she's actually referring to a new name for herself or for her boating school, but I do think she's talking about her own name, because if
She's
she's trying
definitely
to
talking
run
about her own name because I do remember something. Like I remember all this. Like she really changed her whole identity because she's a criminal, evil. Look at her.
away from something in her past, she wouldn't start a new boating school with her real name in the title. Now, when she says again, I don't think she's just referring to starting a new life.
Everyone will know that I let him slide through school. Not again.
I think at her previous boating school, she had a terrible student just like SpongeBob who she prematurely gave a license to, and it led to something so terrible happening that she had to run away and start a whole new life.
Bro, this theory is just different. Like it's not gonna ruin my childhood. This is different. This is like putting pieces together to make it make sense. This is like more than a theory because it's like 100% true. It makes sense. Like it's not like a theory that could be true, could not be true, but it makes sense. No, this actually 100% makes sense because I remember the episodes. Like she definitely changed her identity.
Season 3, Episode 5, Doing Time, we get a flashback to when she first opened up the school.
Where did I go wrong? With the opening of my new boating school, I pledge that as long as a student is willing to learn, I shall never give up.
Hi, I'm SpongeBob SquarePants.
I mean, she did pledge and didn't give up on SpongeBob, but in one of the episodes, she definitely did, where she just gave him the license. I remember that episode. So she technically did.
With the opening of this new boating school, let's keep in mind that this is not her first boating school. Maybe the whole reason she's making this pledge now at her second school is because she gave up on a student at her previous school, and that led to her having to run away and start a new life. She's pledging to never make the same mistake again. Now let's skip ahead to one of the newer episodes. Season 12, Episode 21, Lighthouse Louie, where Mrs. Puff has SpongeBob organize all the stuff she keeps in the school's lighthouse. There's lots of interesting things hidden in the background, but the first thing that caught my eye was this file labeled Mrs. Puff. It makes sense for a teacher to have files on all their students, but
Bro, I know that file has all past, her identity, her criminal record. Like, of course, she keeps a file on herself. Like, damn.
But why would she have a file about herself? But let's remember, she's not Mrs. Puff. That's a fake identity she created. And I'm willing to bet all of her fake identification documents are in this file. Back in No Free Rides, she just gives SpongeBob a license that she already had for
that's
him.
literally what I was talking about.
So she clearly makes these licenses and would probably know how to make fake identifications.
Oh. smart. Yeah, she definitely did make identity of herself. Fake ID. That's how she got SpongeBob on. Okay,
But that's not the
okay.
only hint about Mrs. Puff's past in this lighthouse. There is something in here that directly confirms all of this. As SpongeBob swallows all of Mrs. Puff's junk, we see something very interesting for only a few frames. Deranged boat teacher makes getaway. 10 seasons later.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Bro, crazy. Deranged is basically, why are you calling her deranged in that newspaper? That is just, calling her deranged is generous. She looks like she lost an argument with a bicycle pump and never recovered. Okay, nah. I gotta calm down, bro. Oh my god, I gotta calm down, bro. That was too harsh. Like, bro, she's more than that though.
Later, and the creators are still hiding stuff about Mrs. Puff fleeing her old life. It might not look like it at first, but we actually get a ton of new information from this newspaper. This is from the New Kelp Post, which tells us Mrs. Puff originally lived in New Kelp City. Then there's a caption that reads, "Distracts authorities with balloon animals." And do
Bro, she looks more hideous in this. Her past, oh my goodness.
you remember that clip from the beginning?
I hope I still remember how to do this. Yeah.
So whenever Mrs. Puff makes a getaway or commits a crime, she leaves behind a balloon animal to distract the police. I'm telling you guys, these writers don't just do stuff randomly, they have reasons for everything. And the most damning piece of evidence from this newspaper is actually the picture of Mrs. Puff. Kind of a strange photo, right? We have seen this exact same photo of her before. In the episode No Free Rides, when she imagines what would happen if SpongeBob got his license.
Local consensus places the blame on this negligent, selfish driving instructor.
This means that this isn't just her imagination of what might happen. This is also her remembering what happened when she lived in New Kelp City and prematurely gave one of her students a license. And I'm willing to bet that the fish reporting the news is the exact same one who reported about her in New Kelp City. Let me explain. We know from the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob that reporters from the Bikini Bottom News can also work for the New Kelp City News. But the real reason I think this is because of his hair. In the entire show, we have—
Oh my goodness. That's just crazy. That's what I was, whenever I watch the episode, I was like, why is that the only episode where the fish has hair? No other episode has that. That just was confusing.
never seen this fish reporter with hair before. Why would the creators go out of their way to add that detail? Because Mrs. Puff isn't imagining him as he looks now. She's remembering him from years ago when he used to have hair, when he reported about her in New Kelp City. Mrs. Puff has been running from her past ever since, and is now forced to relive her experience with an unteachable student through SpongeBob. But reliving this trauma has pushed her to the point of complete insanity. And trust me when I say that you have no idea how delusional she actually is.
Bro, she is so delusional. Like, that's insane.
Another running gag throughout the series is Mrs. Puff's occasional nervous breakdowns.
Yeah, whenever she has that nervousness or anger, she puffs up. Like, bro.
There are moments of insanity because of SpongeBob, and they get more severe as the show continues. At first, she did care for SpongeBob, but in the newer episodes, she literally tries to kill SpongeBob just to get him out of her life. Even SpongeBob just walking up to her gives her severe PTSD.
Hi, Mrs. Puff.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Bro, the way she flinched, like, bro, come on. Wow. That's crazy.
Wait, Mrs. Puff.
She has too much PTSD from this, like, bro.
We're not driving.
But these mostly seem like just one-off moments, and for the most part, Mrs. Puff is still a functioning member of society, right? I'm going to show you that she's actually much more insane and delusional than you may think, and some of the episodes she's in take place entirely in her own head. If we're talking about how insane Mrs. Puff is, there is no better place to start than the episode Doing Time. Once again, SpongeBob fails the boating test and causes destruction and chaos, which leads to Mrs. Puff going to jail. SpongeBob keeps breaking into jail to try and bust her out, but Mrs. Puff actually prefers being in jail over teaching him.
Yeah, I remember that. Like, she does not want to teach SpongeBob at all. She would rather do anything else like being in jail, as he said.
Except in this episode, she has a complete mental breakdown. SpongeBob keeps appearing in impossible places until she gets thrown into solitary confinement, where each wall of the room transforms into a giant SpongeBob face. And then the episode ends in a way that's so weird and confusing that it rivals the infamous gorilla episode ending. As Mrs. Puff freaks out, she's suddenly transported back into the beginning of the episode when SpongeBob was taking the test. Except this time, SpongeBob gets arrested instead of her.
Help! Help! No! This is not a good time! No!
I can't believe it. It was all a dream. I'm not going to jail.
Why would
Oh.
you go to jail? You already did your time.
Forget it.
So what's really going on in this episode? Was the ending all in her head? Is Mrs. Puff just caught in an endless loop? I think this entire episode is inside of Mrs. Puff's head, and she's actually on the outside the whole time, but she's been imagining herself inside of prison. I can explain. Listen closely to what the police officer tells Mrs. Puff.
I'm not going to jail.
Why would you go to jail? You already did your time.
Why would you go to jail? You already did your time. And then revealing she's still in a prison uniform despite being on the outside. So this scene is obviously inside of her head, which means everything we see is symbolic. And if we can understand the symbolism of it, we can understand what's really going on with Mrs. Puff. Notice how she's suddenly wearing a black and white striped prison uniform, even though the entire episode she's been wearing this orange jumpsuit. Why would the creators go to
Yeah,
the
why
extra
would they
effort
do that?
to draw a whole new prison uniform for her? Well, we've seen her wear this black and white prison uniform before. The very first
We
time she
have.
went to prison back in
I
season
remember
1,
that.
episode 7, Hall Monitor. So when the police
Oh
officer
my
says,
god. All Monitor was an amazing episode. Patrick, Sponge. Oh, bro, oh my goodness. That episode brings back
you've
memories.
already done your time, he's referring to the first time she went to jail. But why is she still wearing that uniform outside of prison? Well, she may have gotten out of jail, but she was by no means free. Having to teach SpongeBob is a prison in itself, and she manifests that by believing she's in jail and wearing a prison uniform
Wow.
despite being on the outside. This entire episode, every time SpongeBob magically appears, is all inside of her head. She is completely delusional, and hints that she's experiencing these hallucinations don't stop there. Just 6 episodes later, she goes to a house party SpongeBob throws, and while everyone is talking and having a good time, in the background we see she's literally sitting by herself talking to an ice sculpture of SpongeBob. You
Bro. Like, she's so delusional. Like, what is wrong with her? Like, I don't know what's wrong with her brain. Like, she has so much trauma from teaching SpongeBob that, bro, look at this. She's talking to ice sculpture. Look at this. Even the ice sculpture looks more alive than she does. Bro, she's out here having a one-sided conversation with a ice sculpture while looking like she hasn't slept since like season 1
can't tell me this isn't intentional. I mean, look at
or since whenever she was introduced.
this. Now, back in the episode No Free Rides, there is a very strange picture inside of Mrs. Puff's home. It's a picture of Mrs. Puff inside of a picture of Mrs. Puff inside of a picture of Mrs. Puff, creating an infinite loop. This is something that has confused SpongeBob fans for years. But like everything in the show, there is a reason for it being there. One of the SpongeBob storyboard artists actually called it the biggest mystery in the entire show. If you think about it, this is just like the end of
I never really focused on that. Wow.
Doing Time, where she's stuck in an infinite loop of SpongeBob failing the driving test. Because it's all symbolic of what her life is, just an endless cycle of SpongeBob taking the test and failing, and no matter what she does to try and escape, she always ends up back in the same place at the end of the episode. So this picture is another symbolic manifestation of what she's feeling. We even see another one of these pictures all the way in season 9, episode 5, Bumper to Bumper. This is something that the show is consistently alluding to. Mrs. Puff is an unreliable narrator, and anything we see with her could potentially all be inside of her own head. In fact, I believe I found another episode that takes place inside of her head. In season 9, episode 17, SpongeBob Long Pants, SpongeBob goes to a different boating instructor and actually gets his license. But as soon as he does, we briefly cut to Mrs. Puff waking up.
You pass.
I finally got my driver's license!
Lock your doors, bar your windows, it's the end of the world!
Now, this seems like it's probably just a throwaway gag where Mrs. Puff somehow senses that SpongeBob got his license and it causes her to wake up and freak out. You know, it's a good bit, it's funny, but I have a question. If the joke is that she's supposed to be waking up at the exact time SpongeBob gets his license, how come she wakes up at night when SpongeBob clearly gets his license during the day?
Oh. Oh, that does not make
because
sense.
this entire episode actually takes place inside of Mrs. Puff's head. And this is
That's
the only part of the episode in the
crazy.
real world.
I don't know what that was all about, but I'm glad it's over.
But let me pause for a second. I'm sure some of you are already wondering if this contradicts my previous SpongeBob video, The Television Theory. If you haven't watched that one, the gist of it is that the entire show is a documentary television show, and everything we see is actually being secretly filmed by scuba divers. And there's a ton of evidence to support it. I'm very proud of that video. You should definitely check it out. But if everything's supposed to be from a camera, then how are we seeing things from inside Mrs. Puff's head? In fact, how do we see dreams and flashbacks and thought bubbles? Well, I think the simple
But there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense in SpongeBob, like that, and also like fire and water. Like there's a lot of stuff,
answer
bro.
is that even though we view the show through an objective camera lens, the world itself still follows the rules of a cartoon.
You can never tell another living soul. Wait, hold on! What's that? My pen is out of
Oh yeah, I
ink.
remember this
Plankton!
too.
You'll never get me formula, not even in a flashback.
In the world of
Not even
SpongeBob,
a
you can imagine
flashback.
something and other people can
Imagination.
still see, record, or interact with it, because that's just how cartoons work. Back to the theory, we know that her insanity has caused her to live a life of delusion, but if you remember back to the Lighthouse episode, she's also become an extreme hoarder, and looking at her collection of junk is like a look directly into her mind, so there's gotta be something we can learn about her from it. There's a picture of her boyfriend, Mr. Krabs, the hall monitor belt she gives her.
Bro, Mr. Krabs is delusional as well. Like, bro, he does not have taste in women, but he has taste in like all this money. I can give him that. Like he loves his money, but he loves his money, not like his woman, because Mrs. Puff is horrendous. Like, bro,
Students, the mean drawings her students make her, SpongeBob's diary, a boating safety helmet. Wait, SpongeBob's diary? Why does she have SpongeBob's
hey, where did she get that from? Why does he have SpongeBob's diary?
diary? The last time we
Whoa.
saw that, it was safely put away in SpongeBob's library. What's it doing in her
Yeah.
lighthouse? And why does she have Squidward's painting?
Whoa,
And a table from the Krusty
whoa,
Krab? And SpongeBob.
whoa. Did she steal all this? Ain't no way she stole all this.
Bob's bike, and Squidward's teddy bear, and the hair curlers Mr. Krabs had, and that statue of Squidward, and that diamond ring, and that crown, and that bucket of radioactive waste, and that jellyfish sign? Oh my god. Mrs. Puff is a kleptomaniac. Mrs. Puff has been stealing from everyone in Bikini Bottom. I can even prove that her pets.
God. He steals from everyone's, like, oh my goodness. She steals everyone's stuff and still manages to look like the emptiest person in Bikini Bottom. Bro, that lighthouse is just a storage unit for her sad little life.
Snail from season 3, episode 19 was stolen.
My snail is up a tree. I've had her since I was a little girl.
You've had that snail since you've been a
Really?
little girl. Huh.
No, I don't
then
think
how
so.
come that is the exact same
Exactly.
snail Squidward had
Yeah.
4 episodes ago in the Great Snail Race?
I
Yeah.
wouldn't let Snally here play with that mongrel mutt. She's a purebred. See, she even has her own papers.
He even has her paperwork. Mrs. Puff clearly stole the snail from Squidward.
She
But why the hell would
stole it.
Mrs. Puff steal all this other junk? What possible use could she have for any of it? We could find the answer to that question by looking at this green hat and this purple
Oh
jacket.
my gosh,
These
I
were gifts
remember that.
Mr. Krabs bought her on their first date, but
Mr.
she
Krabs
ended
is
up feeling
delusional,
uncomfortable
bro.
receiving them and gave them back to him.
I'm afraid I just don't feel comfortable accepting all these gifts.
Except apparently she's not too uncomfortable to steal them back afterwards. So clearly Mrs. Puff isn't stealing this stuff because she wants to use it. She just steals for the thrill of it. Maybe stealing
Wow.
things is
Wow. She is disgusting, delusional human being.
her way of coping with the
I
insanity
mean,
of
she's not a human, but whatever.
for everyday life. I have reason to believe that she started stealing things way back whenever she first went insane.
I
Definitely.
hope I still remember how to do this.
I don't think she's just talking about remembering how to make balloon animals.
Yep, she's talking about stealing.
She's probably also referring to remembering how to steal a boat. And if that's
Yep.
not enough for you, in a SpongeBob comic book, she actually admits that she used to rob banks and she wears the exact same
Yep.
ski mask. Mrs. Puff lives a completely delusional and miserable life, all because she has to teach SpongeBob how to drive. It's led her to steal from the people she cares about and completely disassociate from reality. But that begs a very important question. If SpongeBob is causing her life to be so miserable, then why does she even keep teaching him? After all the destruction and pain he's caused, she'd totally be justified to expel him. right? I mean, she will literally try and kill him so she doesn't have to teach him, but for some reason she can't just expel him.
Yeah, that's what doesn't make sense to me. Whenever I used to watch SpongeBob, I'm like, why does she does not just like kick him out or whatever? Like, bro, she's so weak. She can't even fire the student who's been killing her soul and her looks for 20 years, bro. Over 20 years, SpongeBob has been killing her soul and her looks for 20 years, and she can't even kick him. Like, he's been causing her a miserable life, and she can't even kick him and expel him.
It's almost like there's someone forcing her to teach SpongeBob.
Who would be forcing her? Is someone from her past? We'll see.
Back to the episode No Free Rides. After prematurely giving SpongeBob a license, she steals his boatmobile so he can't hurt anyone. In the end, this causes her to get arrested and go to jail, but then SpongeBob tells her this.
And besides, the warden says she'll let you go early if you do her a favor.
What's that?
Free driving lessons!
She'll get to leave prison early if she gives free driving lessons. That seems like an oddly specific requirement. And that's not the only time this gets mentioned either. In Season 9, Episode 5, Bumper to Bumper, we get this scene.
If only SpongeBob could pass his boating test, he'd be out of my life once and for all. Unfortunately, I keep getting reminded of the consequences if I get too angry with the little nuisance.
Consequences. Are you telling me that if she refuses to teach SpongeBob specifically, she'll be violating her parole and get sent back to jail? Why does the prison even care if Mrs. Puff teaches SpongeBob?
Yeah, that I don't know.
Is it just part of some weird community service? But things start to get really suspicious at the end of Season 7, Episode 5, Summer Job. Once again, Mrs. Puff ends up in jail, but this time she's forced to go to a prison boating school.
Oh, I remember that. And she started yelling because she knew it was SpongeBob or whatever.
Wow! A driver's education class!
Good day, class!
Yeah.
I must be having a nightmare! What's he doing here?
Dear Mrs. Puff, I'm following in your footsteps and got a job as a driver's ed teacher for the summer.
Who in their right mind would hire SpongeBob to do this after he's
Yeah, something's behind this. Like, no one would want to use SpongeBob because he doesn't even know how to drive himself. Like, how can he teach that?
literally destroyed the city countless times while driving? Is this just another one of Mrs. Puff's delusions? Or
It
is the
probably is.
prison
No.
intentionally forcing her to be around
Nah, it's a delusional.
SpongeBob just to torture her? I mean, look at the way the guard forces her to sit there and listen to him.
I don't know.
Get me out of here!
And look at that evil smile he has as he watches her endure this torture. There is something very strange going on with this prison. Then, in Season 10, Episode 8, The Getaway, Mrs. Puff meets a criminal named Dorsal Dan and starts to get romantic feelings for him. This is also while she's still dating Mr. Krabs. Shame on you, Mrs. Puff.
Wow. Oh my god, Mrs. Puff is like the worst of worst. Every time it gets worse.
At the end of the episode, they both accidentally land in prison, and the warden puts him in solitary confinement.
Warden, I found this one pulling up outside the prison.
Dorsal Dan, a notorious getaway driver. Toss him in the clink.
I'll wait for you, my little tender boy.
In or out of jail, this prison will stop at nothing to make sure she is alone and miserable. But why? Who's behind all of this? Why would anyone care this much about torturing Mrs. Puff?
Yeah, who is behind it all?
Who's the mastermind
Because, like, she can't fire him. She has to be forced to be around SpongeBob. Like, we gotta know.
pulling the strings? Well, maybe it has something to do with her old life in New Kelp City. Maybe she crossed someone and they've been plotting their revenge ever since.
I knew it. That's what I literally said. What if someone from the past?
But I've looked in every single frame of New Kelp City, and there is nothing connecting it back to the prison. I've
Really?
looked literally everywhere, and there's not a single person from the city that has anything to do with Mrs. Puff.
What?
Well, I mean, maybe except for the literal warden of the prison she's being kept in.
Oh my god.
He may be hiding slightly off screen, but that is clearly the same
Yeah,
warden
that's
of the
clearly him.
Bikini Bottom prison. And this isn't some random background character that the show reuses all the time. He is a very distinct character. You can call me out on the Squilliam video all you want, but not this time. But wait a second. If the warden was originally from New Kelp City, then he'd probably know about Mrs. Puff's dark past and her true identity.
Yeah.
So why hasn't he exposed her? He's just kept quiet about the fact that one of his inmates is
Okay.
living a completely false identity. She'd probably even get more
Why?
prison time when they find out who she really is, so why hasn't he said anything? This is where
Yeah, I
things
don't
get
know.
very interesting. So, we know Mrs. Puff prematurely gave a student at her original boating school a license, and that led to them causing chaos and destruction. Maybe this student accidentally did something terrible to the warden, and he's blamed Mrs. Puff ever since. Whatever happened was so terrible that it caused him to move to Bikini Bottom and get a job as the warden of the town's prison. And to his surprise, he finds out that one of his inmates is actually the person he blames for that terrible thing happening. This works out perfectly for him. He can finally get his revenge on Mrs. Puff by making her life miserable. All he has to do is reveal her dark secret and she'll be stuck in jail for much longer. Except for one small issue with his plan. Mrs. Puff actually likes being in prison.
Yeah, she does because she does not have to teach SpongeBob. That's crazy.
One day down, 2,528 to go. Oh, that's just shy of 4 years without SpongeBob. I'm going to enjoy this.
So, he comes up with a new plan. Keep Mrs. Puff secret and let her out of prison early, but only under the condition that she has to teach SpongeBob. He's literally turning her normal life into a prison. And
Why is he doing that? What does she do that makes him want to do that?
he makes sure going back to prison to avoid SpongeBob isn't even an option for her anymore, because he'll make sure that SpongeBob is always in there with her. And he's not gonna let her escape and start a new life like she did in New Kelp City. He makes sure to give her an ankle bracelet that doesn't let her leave Bikini Bottom.
I can't even leave town without violating my parole.
He is the mastermind who's been controlling everything this entire
Wow.
time. But guess what? His insidious plan doesn't even end there. This is not the first time we've seen the Warden character. We first see him in Season 4, Episode 2, Crabs vs. Plankton. In this episode, Plankton slips on some water in the Krusty Krab and decides
Oh
to
yeah, I
sue
remember that. Like he really just faked it, or did he not fake? I don't remember. It's been a
Mr.
long
Krabs
time.
for everything he owns.
But he did fake his injuries though.
And then guess who shows up out of nowhere and offers to be Mr. Krabs' lawyer?
What I really need is a good lawyer.
Whoa, did somebody say lawyer? Richard A. Bottomfeeder, attorney at law. I couldn't help but
Oh
notice
yeah, he was in this episode too.
that despicable display.
Richard A. Bottomfeeder, the warden of the Bikini Bottom prison, is also apparently a lawyer? That's kind of strange. Those both sound like major careers. You usually wouldn't imagine someone being
yep.
both. Then he says he'll be Mr. Krabs' lawyer completely free of charge.
So, how much is it?
Completely free of charge. Didn't sit right with me. Like, bro.
It's gonna cost me.
How?
Actually, I
For
won't
what
charge a dime
reason?
unless we win.
Well, that's awfully generous of you, Richard. He seems very confident that he
Yeah.
can win the case, but right before he goes to court, he slips on some water and says SpongeBob will have to be Mr. Krabs' lawyer now.
Oh, this is gonna be a slam dunk.
Oh no! Mr. Krabs' lawyer, speak to me!
Wrapped with pain, can't move. Looks like you're gonna have to handle this one, son.
He tells SpongeBob that he has to represent Mr. Krabs, even though he himself called SpongeBob a liability.
Actually, SpongeBob, we won't be needing any testimony from you. Why, you'd be more of a liability than an asset.
But it's okay, because apparently all SpongeBob needs to win is inside of Richard's briefcase.
Everything you need to win is
Yeah,
in this here
it took forever
case.
SpongeBob to open
Really?
it.
Everything?
Except when
Because he didn't know
SpongeBob
the
gets to
code.
court, he realizes that Richard
Yeah.
never gave him the combination to the case.
It's, all in here.
Really?
Yep, right in here.
Is there a problem?
Your lawyer didn't give me the combination.
Either Richard A. Bottomfeeder is the worst lawyer in history, or this is all part of his elaborate plan to ruin Mrs. Puff's life.
Yep, it's definitely an elaborate plan.
Here's what I think happened. First, he finds out that Mr. Krabs is being sued, and he wants to ensure that Mr. Krabs loses the case because he wants to destroy any chance Mrs. Puff has at finding love. So he pretends to be a lawyer, even offering his services for free, something Mr. Krabs can't resist. He makes Mr. Krabs feel confident that they're gonna win the case, and then at the last second, he pretends to get into an accident so he can't represent Mr. Krabs.
Wow. Nah, this all comes together in pieces and makes so much sense.
Krabs.
Making so much sense, bro.
Instead of finding a real lawyer to replace him, he tells the most incompetent person for the job, SpongeBob, that he has to be Mr. Krabs' lawyer. And he gives him a case that allegedly has all the answers in it without actually giving SpongeBob the combination, setting him up for a total failure in court. Richard A. Bottomfeeder refuses to let anyone get close to Mrs. Puff, not Dorsal Dan and not Mr. Krabs. This guy has squillion levels of hate for Mrs. Puff. But why? What exactly did her previous student do that warrants this much torture? It can't be something as simple
Yeah.
as him or his property getting damaged. It has to be something life-changing, something like losing a loved one because of the student's reckless driving. And I think the show gives us one last hint about who this might have been. All the pictures of Mrs. Puff's house are very meaningful to her. She's got photos of Mr. Krabs, her pet snail, and of course those infinitely living photos that told us so much about her mental state. But there is one more photo in this house that might be the key to this entire conspiracy. In season 12, episode
Low-key, I never paid attention to like picture frames besides the SpongeBob one with his parents or whatever.
Episode 14,
But that's about
Plankton's
it.
old chum, we see a photo of someone we've never seen before on Mrs. Puff's wall. There's some surprising similarities between this character
Okay. Wow, they do look alike.
and Richard. The green color, the red bow tie, the overall fancy, serious appearance. It clearly isn't the same person, but maybe this is someone related to Richard. Like
Yeah,
a
it does
father,
look
a
alike.
son, or a brother that Mrs. Puff's former student killed. And the reason she keeps a photo of him up is to have a permanent reminder to never make the same mistake of giving someone a license who doesn't deserve it.
Wow.
Mrs. Puff is a boating school teacher who once made a terrible mistake that led to the loss of her business, identity, sanity, and any chance at finding happiness. I like to think that there used to be a time when she was happy, back when her husband was still alive. If only he was still around today, maybe she wouldn't have to face all of this on her own. Thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Is what I would say if I was done, except her husband is still alive. Woo!
What? No way.
Let's do this! In the SpongeBob movie, SpongeBob and Patrick travel to a gift shop named Shell City that's full of dead fish turned into knickknacks and ornaments. Except they end up setting off the smoke detector, which activates the sprinkler system and brings all the dead fish back to life, including a very familiar looking pufferfish hanging from the ceiling. Mr. Puff is alive. Well, wait a second. If he's alive and he escaped, then why hasn't he gone back to Mrs. Puff? Why is she still alone? Because remember, she ran away from their home in New Kelp City and started a new identity. So sadly, Mr. Puff has no way of finding her. The tragedy of Mrs. Puff's story is that her happiness is just a city away, but she can never even leave town because that would violate her parole. Richard A. Bottomfeeder probably even knows her husband is alive and is making sure they're never reunited.
That's
As the
great.
name says, Richard really is a bottom feeder. This video took a ton of time and effort to do all the research for, so I really hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching.
Wait, what did it just say? Hold
As
on.
the name says, even away, but as her, then Mr. Puff to life, setting off the smoke detector, which activates the sprinkler system and brings all the dead fish back to life, including a very familiar looking pufferfish hanging from the ceiling. Mr. Puff is alive. Well,
That's
wait a second.
crazy.
If he's alive and he escaped, then why hasn't he gone back to Mrs. Puff? Why is she still alone?
That's crazy, Mr. Puff. Her husband is alive and still hasn't come back. Even he took one look at that exhausted face and chose that place to live in, like that gift shop. Like, he's like, nope. Mrs. Puff is insane, ugly, delusional, crazy, criminal. I'm out of here.
Because remember, she ran away from their home in New
Oh
Kelp
my
City
gosh.
and started a new identity. So sadly, Mr. Puff has no way of finding her. The tragedy of Mrs. Puff's story is that her happiness is just a city away, but she can never even leave town because that would violate her parole. Richard A. Bottomfeeder probably even knows her husband is alive and is making sure they're never reunited. As the name says, Richard really is a bottom feeder. This video took a ton of time and effort to do all the research for, so I really hope you guys enjoy. Thank you for watching, and thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this theory. Go to NordVPN.
Okay. There's NordVPN and stuff like that. Alright. Bro. This theory was amazing. Like, bro. Every piece put together makes sense. Like, it's not even like a theory that, like, makes sense, but probably not true. But no, this pieces all together and makes so much sense. Like, there's so much in SpongeBob that, like, you put pieces together and it makes so much sense. There's, like, and theory related. It just makes 100% sense, which is true, because you gotta put all the pieces together. And it's crazy how Mrs. Puff is delusional, insane. Like, she is so crazy and a lot wrong with her, and she's a flippin' criminal with a freaking new identity. She's like insane, creepy, weird, and she is so ugly. And for some reason, Mr. Krabs loves her. Mr. Krabs has no taste. The only taste he has is for money, and this is insane. This was a W. Oh my goodness, this was amazing. Wow.